Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast.
The Toddcast.
The Toddcast. Yeah. The podcast that all you queso lovers listen to.
Queso Lovers Anonymous.
That's right.
All them spicy melted cheese people.
Whoa.
Not that spicy. I like mine like mild, if that.
I like mine non-existent. If anything, I don't like queso.
like
I don't
queso?
like queso.
This is why you're not on the
I was gonna
podcast.
say it out of my mouth.
That makes sense. I get it now. I get it.
Well, as always, my name is Brian.
And
My name is Lewis.
there you go. Go ahead. Go for it.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
My name is Zach.
I'm Katelyn.
And then, welcome back.
I'm Lewis.
Yeah, there we go.
Yay.
The real Lewis.
Yeah.
The real one.
We probably should have talked about that before we started.
Probably, but you know.
What's that smell? It's that fresh New York City just wafting off of you.
Straight up
Oh, I hope
nasty
not.
subway booty. That's what that is.
No one ever comes back from New York and it's like, man, and it smelled great.
Ever. No one ever goes, oh, I missed the smell of New York. No, you don't. You're a liar. Because it's sewage piss.
That's accurate.
Do you live in Jersey?
Damn.
Oh, wow.
2 states, 1
Damn.
joke.
Damn right.
Taken down.
I do like how he said sewage piss, not sewage and piss.
No.
Just all together.
Sewage piss.
It's a particular smell, and that is very
It is.
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back to the FLA, Florida.
Thanks.
Hey.
It's nice to be back.
Yeah, and you are back just for a couple of days.
Just for a few days, picking up some stuff to take back to New York.
Yeah.
You can say it. You just missed podcasting. You were like, oh, why did I move?
I mean,
Yeah.
that too. When you guys suggested it, I was like, yeah, I'm down. Do you care what time? I don't care what time.
Yeah.
I'm going to go whatever time.
We're here for you.
We are recording much earlier.
Yes, I know. 8 o'clock. I was like, oh, wow. That's
Yeah, time-wise.
Yeah. Not day of the week.
Not date-wise.
No,
time-wise.
obviously, yeah.
Look, we're here for you,
We are.
and we're here for the queso we're going to get after this.
We are.
Yes.
2 big things, 2 big motivations.
I feel that. I feel a lot of it.
And video games, that too.
Video games.
Oh, well,
right.
Yeah.
Right. The games.
Yeah, the games. Speaking of the games, Lewis, what have you been playing this week?
What are you playing?
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
That was good.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey,
It's really subtle.
what you been playing this last month?
This last month, actually, you know what? I played 2 new phone games.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm hopping on that phone game.
Tell us about
Game.
Yeah.
I played. I think this game came out a while ago though.
Oxenfree?
Yeah, Oxenfree.
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't played all of it. I played half of it, and it's really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it is.
The majority of the voice acting, not all of it, the majority of the voice acting is really great. There's like one character I don't care for. He just seems so bad and so cheesy.
Is it the voice acting or is it just the character?
Maybe it's a combination of the voice acting and the script specifically for him.
Okay.
Because everyone else, I love the dialogue, I love the relationships, I love the realistic banter that they have, and like the interrupting each other. I'm like, oh man,
Break down Oxenfree for me real quick. What is it?
Oxenfree is this completely story-driven game where you play I'm terrible with names. So you play the role of this female blue-haired character. I forget her name.
Oxenfree?
Is that her name?
No.
I'm like, that is not her name. Her name's Oxen, and she's got to rescue Free.
Right. And they're going to this island for like this party that they want to throw. They're like seniors in high school, and like they want to throw like this party that they usually have like almost like regularly, like every year almost, that they throw on this island. And they thought it was gonna be like a big group of them, and it just turns out to be 5 of them. Her new stepbrother, her
best friend,
her childhood best friend,
like a rival.
Yeah, and then these 2 girls, one of whom she's friends with, and the other one who just hates her.
Is your quintessential mean girl?
Yes, 100% mean girl, and for what seems like no reason.
Is there a murderer? This sounds like the setup for a murder game.
I haven't.
It
This is
feels
just-
like
It feels like
Yeah.
One of the
while I'm
best
playing,
things-
I'm like for like at least 30 minutes I'm playing, and I'm just doing dialogue stuff. I'm like, am I just watching people live? Because nothing's happening. I'm loving it, but I'm like, I feel like someone's gonna get murdered.
It kind of sets
Hardcore.
itself up to make you feel like something's gonna happen.
It almost feels
horrible any
like
moment.
Until Dawn, where like there's just like typical regular, like relationship banter, and then crazy stuff's about to go down.
And crazy stuff does go down.
Yeah.
What does it look like visually?
It's
Is it 8-bit?
it's not 8-bit. It's weird. It's 2D animation.
Kind of style.
It has a very specific style. It's like 2D animation, and they're like all like really small looking. Like you can move them with your finger. But it's like just super basic 2D cartoon animation.
Okay.
Yeah.
The closest, I think, if anyone's played Night in the Woods.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh
type of
yeah.
animation.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good.
Definitely like that. And I'm enjoying it. I downloaded it. I didn't think it would finish downloading. I'm like, oh, this game's probably going to be huge. But it downloaded in like less than a minute. And it's pretty fun. And then the other phone game I'm playing is called Sky.
Just came out.
Yeah. I pre-ordered it forever ago when I saw it because it seemed really cool.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I should be doing like story stuff, but half the time I'm just like flying. I'm just like,
Is that what you do in that game? You just fly?
yeah.
That's totally my game of the
totally.
week.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll extrapolate on
whoops,
it
that's
a
our
little
game
more.
of the week. You got it.
Okay.
Is it beautiful? Because it's the sky. It's blue.
That was
Brian, everybody, give it up. Give it up.
and then I mean I know you guys have probably already talked about it, but I picked up Smash again because of Hero from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I know you guys
Yeah,
did.
you've been listening to the episodes.
Yeah, super OP. Love it.
Really?
Yeah. Do you not feel?
I mean, I don't know. The menu thing kind of messes me up. Like, if I could have all the moves in that menu, then yeah.
The reason it doesn't mess me up is because since I know I don't have time to choose anything half the time when I'm in a fight, I'll just bring the menu down and I'll click the button right away.
But one of those could kill you.
But I'm usually next to someone, so it kills them too.
All right.
I never do it away from someone. I always do it when I'm next to people, so no matter what, I'm hitting something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Yeah, and I always make sure I don't have just one life left, because if it happens to be the one that kills me, then I'm just dead.
So you just don't use the menu if you have one life left.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Pro strat right there.
Pro strat.
Pro strat.
Pro strat. And that's it. I've been wanting to play Overwatch because like I know a bunch of new updates are happening, but I have my PS4 is first generation. Like I bought it, I think maybe the week after it came out, or maybe the week it came out, and it can't pick up the Wi-Fi in my apartment because the Wi-Fi is too.
Yeah, it's AC, and I think
Yeah.
yours can pick that up. Yeah.
All right,
Exactly.
Lewis, what do we got to do? Who do we need to talk to you? Because I'm on Overwatch and I ain't seeing
I
you
know.
no more.
I see
and I'm
everyone
like,
talking
hey,
in the chat all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to play so bad. So I'm turning
is
in
there
a couple
landlord situation? Do I gotta call up the mayor?
I need
Does
it.
de
I
Blasio need to
need.
get
I
on
need.
this?
I need a not first generation PS4. So I'm turning in some games. I'm turning in the PS4 I have now, so I can get the PS4 Pro.
That's a hard sell because
yeah.
they keep talking about
PS5.
Like, PS5.
I know.
It's like,
I'm fully aware, but my
can
friend
you get a
Chris-
used
my
PS4?
my friend Christian said, "Look, whatever you can get, I'll help you with the other half." And I said, "Oh, dope."
That's quite a friend.
Yeah. I'm like, cool. So I'm doing it. And even though I know the PS5 is going to come out probably by the end of or middle of next year.
I think it's the end.
As soon as you buy the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to buy the
Just shadow drop.
Shadow drop in the next 2 weeks.
PlayStation 5.
Whenever your return policy expires, that's when.
Boom.
It's going to be PS5, the Lewis edition.
Just pure anger.
Project
I'll
Lewis.
make my own podcast against Sony, just forever ranting about it.
It'll have to be your own podcast because I won't be ranting against Sony.
Oh,
I'll
I
be
just
finding it
said
hilarious.
I'll make my own podcast specifically ranting about it.
How
An
amazing
Alex
would it be?
Jones style show, just Lewis yelling at the monitor.
Yeah. There's no intro music. It just automatically starts with me just going off.
Well, we know Katelyn likes terrible things because she's wearing a Fallout 76 shirt.
Wow.
Hardcore truth.
Hey, everyone
Hardcore
knows
truth.
Bethesda's games are rough when they come out. We all remember Skyrim. And
Yeah.
Skyrim is great.
Yeah.
So next year, if you still like 76,
And the 76 people still playing it will enjoy the hell out of it.
And we all have games that aren't the best.
Aren't the
We
best.
do. We absolutely
You know,
That we
there's
enjoy.
games that aren't the best. There's TV shows I watch that I know are trash, but I watch them beginning to end in
All
a
the way
day.
through.
Yeah. I mean,
Hemlock-
I've
Hemlock
sat through
Grove.
your plays before.
Exactly. He knows what's up.
And on that note,
Well, I'm glad you're doing well in New York.
Yes.
That playwriting thing's really going well.
Definitely. So that's my stuff. That's the games I've been playing.
That's awesome, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got to play some things
Some
finally.
things. Some fun things.
We leave you alone for a month. You finally got something to play. That's what we got to do from now on.
Yeah, exactly. I feel it.
How about you, Zach? What did you play this week?
Good question. Get it out of the way. Dabbling in the extra time, leveling a new job on 14 since you guys are all on. I'm like,
Yeah.
I technically cleared like all the content that I have, so that's just been doing that to say that I'm still playing. But yeah, besides that, I finally can talk a little bit about Fire Emblem because I know Troy especially was wanting to hear some details.
I've
about
been
it.
wanting to know about it real bad.
Now, for listeners, this is my first like real Fire Emblem game, so I feel like it's one of those series that it's probably like you might want to review for someone who's played other ones. But so this is from like a first timer. So far, it's okay for me.
Okay.
But I'm someone who really values like a lot of story beats and whatnot, and so I was really hoping for more from that. I'm sure there's going to be more, but I think about like after 20 hours or so, there's not a lot of story. It's just really, which is weird because normally I like social aspects of games. Like I really love Persona. It's one of my favorite types of games, but I feel like the social aspects are more contained into like a tighter environment. So where you do a few things, but then you get back to the gameplay kind of thing. So far, most of this 20 hours, I think I've done maybe 3 major story battles, and the rest of it has just been running around the monastery.
Yes.
Who am I going to sit down and cook lunch with? I got to use up all this bait because it's gonna raise my professor rank for some reason.
Someone lost a button on their T-shirt. I have
Exactly.
to find who to give it to. That's a real quest.
Really? Wow.
It's also weird because it's like you were saying, it's all it's pretty much self-contained
Yeah.
outside the story. So you have like these people who are like trying to get to know each other, but like it's like, all right, cool, you can rank them up, so now they're going to talk to one another, but they're not talking about literally anything else but stuff that happens to the two of them.
Yeah.
Which is so high school.
Yeah,
I mean, am I right?
Definitely.
Yeah, they all have like their own personalities, but none of them are particularly like, oh, I really like that guy. Like he's got some cool stuff going on. It's like, no, this girl just like doesn't like to leave her room, and she's just kind of like a weird girl. But for some reason, she's like the most intriguing one because I'm like, hey, come on, hang out. You know what's going on?
But also, because I did pick it up because I couldn't wait any longer.
Okay.
With that same girl, if you mention cake, she's like,
Yeah.
excuse me? I can come out? And then you come out and you're like, no cake. She's like, why would you even say that? And then runs back in.
Fantastic.
Dare you?
Yeah, I think I'm getting to the part because like the music changed at the monastery now. It's no longer like happy-go-lucky music. So like something's happening in the story where it's like,
Whoa.
ooh,
Real stuff,
like
real
maybe
stuff.
something intriguing might be happening soon. But in the meantime, I still got to go through the entire month doing the same thing, pretending like nothing serious is happening. You know?
Have you seen like the on Twitter Setheth? Or Sedith, I
Yeah.
should say.
Yeah.
His voice actor, like people started coming up with memes because like he really doesn't like your character to begin with, and so so people were creating memes like, oh, one more thing. I'm trapped in the ball pit of a McDonald's. Please come and find me. That type of stuff. And then the voice actor got wind of it, and he started voicing some of the better ones.
Yes.
So if you look up Said It Says, there's a whole bunch of them. Like so far, I think he's only done 2, but there's so many memes of just gold.
Seize the opportunity. Well
Seize
done.
it, yeah.
And the relationships, I think, just tonally are kind of weird because you're the professor, but then I have to remind myself that I'm technically like the same age, if not younger or older than some of them. So when the relationships start to get like a little flirty or whatever, I'm like, okay, I guess I understand. They said he's the same age, so it's fine. It's not weird or creepy at all. It's that kind of game. It's like, oh, let's mix and match, make the characters that you want to like each other more, put the time investment into them or whatever.
Yeah.
You get to pick from 3 houses at the outset that have a bunch of different casts and characters and different specialties. Which of the 3 houses did you
I
align
chose
with?
the Blue Lions, and I think that might be one of my biggest critiques of the game is I wish you got more time to actually like get to know the house leaders at least. Because then like now I'm like, okay, I feel like there's more like intrigue happening possibly. Like I just get the hint that like I've gotten to learn a little bit about Dimitri. Like he has this personality where he's like ironically in a military academy, but clearly has like massive issues with death and warfare and whatnot.
He's lost.
Is an interesting character, but then I want to know what's going on with these other two, man. Like Edelgard's like all mysterious, and Claude just seems like he's just like the guy who's just like on campus, like I'm gonna be a student forever, bro.
We over here in the Golden Deer are nothing but stoners. I'm having the time of my life with that company.
No, to be fair, like straight up, I saw yellow and thought Hufflepuff, and I was like, "There's no way I'm picking that house."
You're not wrong with the way Troy just described
Yeah, that's
them.
accurate.
It's not yellow, it's gold. Distinct difference.
That's what a high person would say. It's not gold. It's not yellow. It's gold,
Dude,
man.
you just don't see, man. It's gold.
I think on your same point, I think a lot of the charm of this game is going to come from the characters that you have to spend most of your time with.
Yeah.
And I got real nervous after picking mine because they were kind of weirded out by me. And they even point out, they're like, aren't you our age?
Yeah.
Why are you teaching us? And I was like, well, at least you noticed. That's cool. But I felt like some of them weren't as intriguing as some of the other people in the houses. There's one person who's really broody and angry and whatnot. And I want to know him better, but he's not in this house. And so I do feel like, did I pick the right one? Oh, well, here's the next hundreds of hours of my life with this people.
That's one thing that I do like is that you can, like, if there's other people just hanging out, you're like, hey, that house has got that one cool kid. I want him in my house. And you go talk to him, and he's like, get out of here, bro. But then it's like he values these things. So if you really want to, you could build your house up to build it into things that they like so that they'll, like, jump ship and come hang out with you instead.
And that's opened it up for me a bunch.
Yeah.
They just want you to play the game 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, they
yeah.
absolutely
Finish
Way
it.
more than
Play
that,
again.
actually.
Oh,
There's some story beats that lead me to believe that that's what's going to happen,
Yes.
which I'm kind of into, which makes me want to play it more because it reminds me of one of those, was it Danganronpa games?
Oh, yeah,
Danganronpa.
Or How to Full Boyfriend, where you just replay the story but in different ways.
Yeah, this game, actually, it's more than 3.
Well, don't tell me, man.
Just saying.
Just letting
There
you
comes a
know.
point like there's like big choices you can make, which will completely affect the story afterwards. Because I find it funny you guys did those 2 houses. Because the one streamer I watched that was doing his and actually followed along with them was Edelgard's house.
You're in the perfect place.
Yeah, so
you're going to
like,
get everyone.
I already know what happens at the end of that one, so I'm just now I get to look forward to what happens to the other 2 houses.
It's intriguing. I mean, I also haven't played a Tactics Fire Emblems game before, and right now I'm playing on casual, and I'm playing where nobody dies, so I'm just having a fun time. I don't know how this game can be played if the characters that you're with actually pass away. Like, who are you talking to at the school? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it yet.
It
but
seems especially dark considering they are all teenage students that they're dead.
That can be one of your other playthroughs where you go through and you just make sure you kill everyone like the first time.
Yeah, when I go through Dimitri, he seems to have some trouble with loss. That seems like a good move.
Which is also probably why everything's so self-contained. So just in case one of your character does die, it's just, well, whatever. We're just talking about one another. We're not going to mention,
Yes, generic.
We're not going to mention this classmate of ours who just passed
Just
away. Where's the cake?
My main critique about the social stuff is the aspect of you being able to choose how to answer people's questions and queries, and I thought it was going to be like my choice as influence in a way, but really it's more geared towards you need to say what you think they want you to say to get them to like you more.
Oh yeah, you're a sociopath in this. You are 1,000%. If you play this, if you want to get everyone, you are a sociopath.
That was like Life is Strange. There was a certain point where we were playing Life is Strange, and I just started feeling bad. I was like, we're just manipulating these people.
I would just keep rewinding time until I said the thing that they wanted to hear, or a thing that I want them to hear, and then move forward, or like someone's name I forgot. And then I go and then remember it after trial and error. I didn't really remember their name, but they think I'm friends with them, but I'm not.
I guess the biggest critiques are on that because the battle and like the leveling up and seeing all the crazy different jobs that exist in this game and what you could turn people into, and the students coming up to you and saying, hey, like, I think I'm really good at like being a swordsman. Like maybe I should stop worrying about this other stuff. And then it's like potentially some random class name. I'm like, what's that? And then I go look at it and I'm like, he's like a samurai, but he uses black magic. I'm like, whoa, yeah, I want you to be that guy.
Yeah, I want to be that guy.
And then like
so many
I
systems.
feel like I've had like almost like personal little anecdotes that have happened around characters that have made me like them more based off of battle. before I realized that you could like move units to where you like at the start of a battle. One of the battles, they put all of my weakest.
What?
You don't know? Yeah, okay.
you can-
I've been
It's good to
trying,
know.
but it doesn't work.
Yeah, you can move. You can move.
I
units.
thought you could, but I keep pressing them and nothing happens.
Because the
All
one
right, I'll talk
battle
to you
I
afterwards.
did
Yeah.
put all of my strongest characters over here, and then like on the other side of a mountain, all of my weakest characters that had like gotten no kills so far were over there. So they were just getting annihilated and routed, and I'm like, oh, this is the worst. And then like there was just like one girl left. I think her name's like Mercedes or Mercedes or something like that. She's just like the innocent, like I'm clearly like the healer girl, like or whatever, and
Goes
I'm
to
like, oh,
church.
she's gonna get roasted, man. She's all by herself over there. But then she proceeded to just like dodge like all of their attacks and was like casting fire and like retaliation and just like killed 3 of them. I'm like, she is the best character in my house. I am putting all of my effort into her. She is now the best character in the game, and so like that's like my personal narrative I put into the game.
That's the key. I'm starting to layer in my personal narrative in my house, and that's what's actually making me want to like. That's why I brought my Switch with me today, and I never do because my inside narrative of what's happening is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
I've only been playing for like not as long as you have. So.
Yeah.
But it's working for me.
All right. Well, how about you, Troy?
Well, yes, I didn't play that. I played it a little bit,
Yeah.
or enough to get a breeze. But I spent my time with something else this week.
Okay.
Unexpectedly, and
what is
not
it?
in a positive way.
Oh.
Joe,
Oh, God.
producer, I need you to go ahead and cue this timestamp for a curse word, and I apologize beforehand. Final Fantasy XIV's login system.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds right.
About 2 days ago, it was just Final Fantasy XIV. Period. But since then, I have evolved.
Okay.
Because of all the amazing things said on this podcast, your passion for it, Zach. I have been teetering on it. Mandy's been playing it at home already, so I'm hearing it, and I've been kind of putting it off and being like, when I get back from my trip, I'll hop on and all this stuff. And then I decided to watch the No Clip documentary with Danny O'Dwyer, which is really wonderful, while Mandy was playing. And by the end of that, I was just like, well, here we go. Not even a question, not even a starter pack. I bought the fullest edition of Final Fantasy available.
Damn.
Complete, all the expansions, everything, 30-day
Damn.
free trial. I was like, I was in, Lewis.
All in.
I was all in.
Regrets?
No, not yet. Not at that point.
And then
I went to go, I booted it up. It downloaded. The next day, I went to go log in. It gave me a nice little, hey, make sure you have an account. Make sure you have this, and make sure you can log in. So I didn't have a Square Enix account, so I decided to make one. And then I went into the main login. And in the field where I could put in my ID was a different name. It was like my name, Eccentric, but it wasn't the name of my Square Enix thing. And I was like, what's up with that? So I went to go click on it to change it. It doesn't let me change it. Can't even click on it at all. Just not possible. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, here's the thing. We played the beta 5 years ago. Five years ago, I think, when the beta came to PS4.
Yeah, okay.
What we thought is that I guess it auto-linked something to the account so that for the beta to work, and it just remembers that. So that when we come back in, it's like, well, that's your login account. And I was like, all right, well, I should be able to change that somehow. No. I get on the forums. I get on trying to figure out what to do. Apparently, it is near impossible to change your ID once you've already linked it to your PSN account.
Oh.
Yes, because it's for some type of safety reason or some type of privacy, or make sure you don't abuse it by logging in more and more names. There is zero way for you to change that. I said, okay, email me a different something so I can change it. And I used the password or the email that I had 5 years ago, which is no longer the email I have. And that ended up with me saying that it didn't have any recollection of what my email was. And then it also was like...
he put in every email address he's ever used in his entire life, and everyone got an email that was like, yeah, you don't have an account. It wasn't like I didn't get anything. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, we received your request, and there was no account on this thing. And we were like, what did you do, Square? Like, because there was no email attached to the account, so you couldn't reset the password. So you couldn't change your user ID, so you couldn't use a new account, and then you couldn't reset your password, so you couldn't use an old account. So it's like, did I spend $60 in a game that
it is
impossible
that
to
you
play?
cannot play?
The complete edition.
Oh no!
And then everything in the terms of service is like, if something happens, it's your fault. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And it was like, but I just want to play your game.
What threw me for the loop is I went onto the support and I filled out a ticket because I was just following the instructions of what to do in the case this happens.
Naturally.
And with that, I put in my old account and then my old account email that I had at the time for AOL. That's how long it was.
Wow.
And it worked on the ticket. So then I was like, what? Why is it working on the ticket, but it's not working anywhere else? And I know that it does work on the ticket because I tried my current email and it didn't work. So I tried my old one and it did work. So now I'm just like, what is going on here? So I put in the email. It doesn't tell you when they're going to get back to you. I've heard 2 days to 2 weeks. 2 days later, I get the email being like, okay, this is automated. After this, we're going to actually have a real person read this, and then we'll let you know. Another day goes by, a real person comes back and is like, okay, great, you got this thing. We need you to go ahead and fill out another ticket and to call us at this number. Thanks. I'm like, great, let me call this number. Please contact us in office hours because it is Friday at 6 p.m. and we won't be open till Monday. So now I have to wait another 2 days just to call them to see if this will even work at all.
Yeah.
And so luckily today.
The part of the story that Troy's leaving out is the time where his wife went to talk to him and he was just sitting by himself on a sofa and I'm like, Han, are you okay? Han? Han.
I think I actively told her, I'm like, I need to brood.
Okay. I'm making dinner. Bye.
Just me on the couch with Fire Emblem. This is why I bought Fire Emblem. This is the reason, because I had all those Jones ready to pour into Final Fantasy 14. Well, no, thank Fire Emblem. I mean, or they win in this scenario. So ending today. I did everything I was supposed to, and everything I'm hearing online, of course, is all horrible. And so I'm like as afraid as can be. And my wife told me, don't read everything, but I can't help it. It's like WebMD. You're just going to read it.
Exactly.
You're just going to see you have cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Play Final Fantasy 14? You can't.
No one puts their good stories on a forum. It's like, I logged in the first time and everything was perfect. Why did I post it?
Yeah.
So I get the call number. I have my reference number, my ticket number. I have it all set up, so we're ready to go. I'm put on hold. It's about a half-hour hold. That's fine. Finally get somebody. I talk about it, and they're just like, listen, we're going to do this, but it is a one-time only thing.
Wow.
So, like, if this ever happens again or whatever reason, doesn't matter. Like, it's done.
Okay.
You have to either get a new PlayStation account or something because it's just not going to work.
Gosh.
Wow.
This is it.
I worked in customer support. You just say things like that. I'm doing this as a favor for you.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's like the cable trick. So they did it. They unlinked it. And here's the part where cue the swear word.
Oh, no. I thought it was done.
Me? I forgot an email that I had a while ago. I had one that was specifically for like dumb gaming things to just like throw away if you're like signing up, something makes you sign up. It was on that. I had no recollection of it up until the moment where he's like, can you clarify your email address? I'm like, it doesn't work with any of them. There's this one, this one, this one, this one. He's like, nothing else? I'm like, no, that's it. I mean, oh no. And then I said it. He's like, that's the one. I'm like, yeah, so I'm in.
Okay,
I have
good.
made a Dragonborn-esque character with bones on their face.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
And I am currently working my way to become a marauder. So
All right.
Great.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Finally.
that's my Final Fantasy.
They put you in the link show and whatnot?
No.
I haven't
Okay.
understood anything of what that means yet. I'm just delivering a lot of mail to people.
It's much like how I first talked about it on this podcast as well. Like, oh, here's my story of logging in.
Yeah.
Worked great for me.
Yeah.
Well, you still have something to do because you have to.
Oh, yeah, I haven't bought it yet. I'm just working on
Yeah.
the trial, so I got to link it, which
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to after all the stories.
Well,
Yikes.
quite the story there, Troy.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well done. Katelyn, What you got?
Okay, so shocker, I've been playing Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Ooh,
Okay.
Do you make it to chapter 3?
Not yet.
Oh.
But I'm so close. I'm so close I can taste it.
You said that last week.
No, okay, so I thought I was at the end of the chapter. I was like, okay, I just literally have to finish making this bar, and then the girl will dance and it'll all be over. Like, they're going to have the big party, just like the end of chapter 1 was a big party, and then we're good. And then I finished building the bar. The girl was like, oh no, I need these special thingies to be able to dance, and I need you to find this special thing to make me a billboard. And I was like, fine, whatever. I get her that stuff, and she starts dancing. And all of a sudden, this Medusa beholder...
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Spoilers for Dragon Quest Builders 2, Chapter 2 specifically. But, this Medusa / beholder looking thing comes out and is like, she's dancing and she's pretty and she's bringing everyone all this joy. I don't like that.
Oh.
So it turns her to stone.
Oh.
So everyone gets really upset. And oh, by the way, when she starts doing the dancing, she gets into an even more revealing outfit than the bunny rabbit one, because now she's got like a midriff showing, and there's definitely more cleavage showing.
Did her dad give it to her?
Her dad,
Probably.
Her dad is in the story.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I remember last week and it was creepy.
She also dyes her hair and gets larger bunny ears.
Yeah. She becomes blonde.
So all the men in this game love peeking on this lady. She loves to dance, and then the one female shows up and is like, "I'm jealous.
I don't
Yeah.
like her.
I hate her."
Yes.
And mean girls her.
So now I'm on a quest to get her turned into not be stoned no more.
Mm-hmm.
And but before doing that, I had 2 more interesting quests that I thought you guys might like.
Okay.
So before, I remember the bedroom and how to be really tiny and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Now I had to make a 3-star special bedroom that fits like 1 million beds in it.
Yeah. By the way, everyone, she winked at us.
Yeah.
That was a hard wink.
It was an audible wink.
3-star.
I
Wink.
heard the wink.
Oh, wink. And then there was also, I had to make her a shower room. I mentioned that last time. I had to make the shower room bigger, so now it has 4 showers in it. However, it also required as many windows as possible to fit in it.
That I actively dislike this game now.
Well, when they make this isn't necessarily better, but but when you make the shower room with all the windows, a gentleman who wasn't a part of your group before asks for it, and he implies that bathroom is for the men to bathe in, and that he's interested in watching the muscly men take showers through the window. Also, just saying it's not better, but it is not
So-
the same type of sexism that the other one was.
Wait, so
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, but then it ends up being for the lady.
No,
Well,
no.
No,
okay.
the men use it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Why
then
are
like
you
the
okay
one
with that?
The one
I
granny
was
does
not
too.
going to be okay
Oh,
with
okay,
that.
Yeah. There's also like a granny who's also wearing the bunny rabbit clothing, and she also uses it.
That part was actually great
Yeah.
because she goes to put it on and they're like, no, and then she comes back and they're like, actually, you look really nice.
Aw. Okay, Dragon
And
Best.
she's like, yeah, I know.
All ageism. All right.
A roller coaster ride.
I don't know how to feel.
Like
Neither do we.
I personally need chapter 2 to be over.
Goodness.
Oh, and the gold golem is now obsessed with marrying her. He's like, when we turn her back from stone, you got to make a church for me so I can marry her.
But it's a golem, isn't it already kind of stone?
Well,
I feel like they were stoned when they wrote this.
Did you hear Medusa's story yet?
I heard part of Medusa's story.
It's so better.
Oh God, I can't wait.
So good.
I feel like the golem needs to be stoned because this is terrible.
Although I do, honestly, I'm having the same feelings if I was watching a soap opera, like a telenovela. Like,
Scandalo.
I'm getting these vibes, and I'm okay with this. So
Yeah.
I look forward to
Next week's endeavor.
I'm not gonna lie. I played the demo for Dragon Quest Builders 2, and I was like, "Oh, I'm probably gonna hate the hell out of this game."
It's so
I played the whole
good.
demo, and I'm like, "Oh, what?" But I want to keep. I wanna,
It's so good.
I keep playing.
It's so good.
I want to find out where this boat goes because the demo ends right. I'm about to get on the boat, and then the guy at the boat says, "Hey, so yeah, I'm gonna take you to this island, but not right now. Thanks for playing the demo." I'm like, "Well, damn it."
And it gets so much better once you get on that boat.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's fourth wall breaking. Thanks.
Yeah. Straight up. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. Now I want to keep going.
Hey, so by the way, you have $59.99.
Yeah, like that's what I was expecting. Like, oh, by the way, you have to buy your way across.
You see what I'm
Wink,
saying?
wink.
If you want to find out what happens next on the adventure, just go to the shop and find out. I'm like, you mean give you my money. Just tell me to give you my money.
I also could create a bunny outfit for my character, and the outfit you are wearing and the outfit it looks like you're wearing are not the same thing necessarily in Dragon Quest, so I'm going to dress her in a bunny outfit soon to see what everyone says.
Nice. All right. Chapter 2, please be over with.
Nope. Wait, so hopefully the conclusion of Chapter 2.
I really hope
We'll
it's
see.
not like another bait and switch and then it just gets even worse.
Oh, yeah.
It's even better because Manda listened to me talk about it last week, saying I was close to the end, and she knew. She was like, no, she's not.
She did give you like a little like, no.
She's still not close.
I know, I saw your face.
It's going to be great.
Well, for my game of the week, I'm going to tell you about something that is over, and that's post-Dragon Song War in Final Fantasy XIV. I am finally in Stormblood.
Welcome to 2019.
No, 2018.
Oh, Stormblood.
Yeah,
Welcome to
last
2018.
year's. Yeah. I was really happy because it kept on going, and I was like, I gotta be in Stormblood now. I'm checking my journal. Nope, still post Dragon Song War. All right, I'm still playing. And then it gets to the end of it. I'm like, all right, this has gotta be the end. Nope. 2 more missions later. And then finally I was like, all right, this has got to be it. And then credits start rolling for Heavensward because that's the very end of that thing. I was like, finally. Yes. Oh my God, I am so happy. Normally I'm a credit watcher. I love letting it roll because, that's what they did.
Yeah,
all these people put their time into it. No, I spent like 5 days on this. I'm going to Stormblood. I watched a little bit of it because it had like little recaps of what you did in the entire thing.
You're like, nope, too fresh.
And I was like, well, because it went on to things that I personally haven't played in 2 years. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that did happen. That's cool. And as soon as it got into a static image, I was like, skip. Time to go into Stormblood. Finally got to my new place. I'm actually running around in places I don't know. So I'm real happy right now.
All right, reinvigorated.
Reinvigorated. So it's a nice short recap of my week, which was just, oh my God, thank God I am out of Heavensward. It's a great story, but man, there's a lot of stories.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it was really good though. So that was my game. Final Fantasy XIV.
They do the same thing in Stormblood.
Oh, I know. I saw him in the journal, the post Stormblood as well. It's fine. There's only 1 tab after Stormblood versus the 2 after Heavensward. It's fine. I can deal with this. I'm actually gaining experience more than 16,000. I'm now like in the 100,000s per quest. So I can actually go forward now.
Yeah.
God. Stormblood. Woo. So Manda, how about you? Close us out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I played. Well, obviously I played Final Fantasy this week, but I don't really have anything new to add. I'm kind of just going through the grind of it. So I picked up 2 phone games, so I had something cool to talk about.
I don't know what one of those is.
Right. one of them's super stupid, and I'm going to talk about that one. So
that's the best one.
Yes, I've got Werewolf Tycoon. It's free.
It better be.
It was made by Joe Williamson, and it is out on the Apple Store. I don't know if it's anywhere else. It's really cute. You're like a werewolf, and you hide in a bush, and then these people walk by, and you see how many of them you can eat before they notice you.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Back in the bush, and that's the whole game.
That's amazing.
It's
Mandy, that's
really
the game
engaging.
of the week. Wow. Forget about everything else we've talked about this podcast. That is the best game I've heard.
Oh, that is the Dragons game of the week.
The art style is really good, and like the loop is really fun. The only bad thing is that between levels sometimes they give you ads, but you can kind of skip them as soon as they open. So and it's free, so enjoy that.
You explaining this reminded me. I've played this before. I have a re-download this again in the App Store. Where I was like, wait a second, did I just looked it up now? Oh yeah, it's got a re-download from Cloud in there. That game is ridiculous.
It's very fun.
It is. It's really good.
Worth noting, all 5 of us right now are downloading it as we
that's
speak.
100% accurate.
We all have our phones out.
I'm on the phone looking it up right now. Yep,
What an easy sell. Joe Williamson, you just made money. Somehow.
Yeah, no, that is a very fun game. I played that for like a good 3 weeks. It's very fun because the premise is so ridiculous.
You get newspaper articles between days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like if you do well, like it'll be like really boring. But if you do poorly, it'll be like people think there might be a werewolf, but everyone thinks they're crazy.
Yeah.
Do you ever turn into a non-werewolf?
Not that I've seen. I don't know.
That's
okay.
the boring part, sir.
My
Yeah.
favorite part that I've seen so far is I got a photographer took a picture of me, which is like dying. So all these policemen came to attack me, and there was a briefcase sitting next there, and I clicked the briefcase, and it put on a mustache and glasses, so like that like really cheesy disguise, and then like and you try to run away, and then it's just like, but the developers were lazy, and the world was a loop, so you run from the bench to the other side of the bench, and then they kill you.
That's gold.
It's brilliant.
That's gold. That's gold.
Fantastic.
That's pretty great.
The game just
Yeah.
installed. I'm gonna play it later. Thank you.
Yes, enjoy.
Well, I'll be playing it while we eat queso.
Queso.
Yeah, that is unassumingly the actual Dragon of the Week.
Yeah.
Because we're all playing it.
Queso.
All right. Well, good week, everyone.
Yeah.
And good
Yeah.
good month for you, Lewis.
Yeah, definitely.
Very nice.
For sure.
And so now let's go on to the news segment.
News.
Well, Destiny 2 is finally bringing its cross-saving
That's
features.
awesome.
Good.
And it starts for consoles, it's going to be the August 21st. So, and that's consoles and PC. But then in October, it's gonna go to Steam as well. I think it's October 20th as well, or something along those lines. You can buy it on Steam, and all of your stuff will transfer over as well.
That's beautiful.
I really like the idea of like all my data is already in the cloud, so just let me access it. But I can't wait for the beautiful tomorrow when I just buy the game once. Where I'm like, I pay for Destiny, even if I paid $80 for it. But let me play it everywhere.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me play it in every place that Destiny exists.
That's
Exactly.
a beautiful dream.
Yeah. So yeah, that's finally happening.
Woo!
Ooh, completely confirmed. And then on less happy news, Ninja, he went to Mixer, right? So his channel, which I thought was kind of funny, Twitch turned it into like, hey, if you like him, here's a whole bunch of other just Fortnite streamers, and there was like I think 10 of them that, and it was
Which
just
sounds fair.
which is fair. And then
Yeah.
also on the very top, it said the ninja you're looking for is in another castle.
Aw.
Which I thought was kind of fun,
Yeah.
whatever. Unfortunately, that lasted for, I think a couple of days. And then porn was featured on that channel.
Oh,
How does it even happen?
They were doing something with their algorithm. This is the official story. They were doing something with their algorithm, and it promoted somebody who just happened to be either filming porn or was streaming porn. And that was the thumbnail on top of it. Like the
Right.
thumbnail that it was showing
In all the
was
suggestions of things you could watch. It was one of the thumbnails.
yeah, it was the very first upper left
Yeah.
one. The rest of them were all Fortnite.
Fortnite.
But the one was showing.
It's not
was
like there's like a
just-
dark corner of Twitch I didn't know about. There's just people probably violating.
I mean, there is,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
With live streaming, there's always a dark corner.
And Twitch
Yes.
doesn't
the
care.
corner just keeps moving
yeah,
around.
they completely shut down that channel.
Oh, they're
Whenever
just
they find out about it,
evading
they shut
Twitch
it. Yeah, they just
despite itself.
It's
Okay.
just unfortunately.
Or
they're
that
trying to do
guy
this
saw
one thing.
he was in the upper left corner of the thing and was immediately like, I know what to do with all of this
Yeah.
celebrityism. I'll show the whole world porn.
I mean, it's not a
mean-
bad idea.
I hear it's
the
popular.
worst.
yeah,
It's only illegal.
It's only-
but so they completely shut down that experiment. Now his channel just is showing his older videos.
Oh, that's fair. They own those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want with it. So, but yeah, now that's no longer actively trying to get other people's streams. It's
That's a
just
bummer.
his old
Yeah.
videos. So,
And hey, I'm sure some Fortnite players like porn. I'm sure some people saw them and was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know what? Yes, I do like Ninja. I do like porn. One click. Oh gosh, this is more than I asked for.
I felt bad because he came out with like this like open letter saying like, guys, before Fortnite was even a thing, I worked on this Twitch for like 10 years.
Yeah.
This was my life. And now everyone's just going to remember porn.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's and also since Fortnite is majority of it is based for children.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Ninja is like the president of that Fortnite club. That's probably not the best to have on there.
No,
No.
it's not.
Definitely
So, less sad news, or more sad news, I should say.
Like, porn is okay. Unexpected porn.
Exactly.
Never okay.
That's
It's not
terrifying.
That's never okay. Surprise porn.
Okay.
Consent is necessary.
Hey, Mom, check out this new dog bed. Oh no, wrong dog, wrong bed. And then let's just keep going with the sad news, guys. Sure. With the Fortnite as well. Bugha, which is the 16-year-old person who won the Fortnite streamers and won $3 million or Fortnite solo competition. His house got swatted. And in case you don't know what that is,
breakdown swatting.
Yeah.
swatting is where police get called anonymously and say, "Hey, this person has a bomb. They're planning on shooting up, their house or whatever. There's something extreme that's going on in their house that you need to send a SWAT team for, or need to send something for." So then their house gets, basically raided by police, and this was a very big deal. Definitely. Last year or the year before, because somebody actually died when this happened.
Yeah.
Because the police went to the wrong house.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't know what was going on, and the police shot him. So it's become less prevalent since then, but it still obviously happens. So he was streaming, and then his dad came into the room and was like, "Hey, the police are here, full drawn, with all their guns out and everything. You need to come with it. You need to come and deal with this." Thankfully, there is a officer in the area who is local to that area, and he recognized Bugha and realized, oh, this is one of these situations.
Thank God someone recognized him.
Exactly.
It's horrible on so many fronts. On face value, of course, the people that it's happening to, but also like the SWAT people who have to now second guess if there's an actual emergency. Now, obviously, they have to treat everything as if it's actually happening, so they have to do it. But just to put that amount of doubt into a situation like that is so messed up.
Yeah. There's even some precincts or some cities that do have, you can register yourself like, "Hey, I'm a streamer." So, it's obviously you're still gonna have to come to my house and check everything out, but you might be a little bit less forceful with it, or whatever.
Weird world.
Yeah.
I hope they catch the guy. I know that back in the day it was easier to spoof like phone numbers, but like there's technology that exists now that can take your anonymous phone number and then tell them what your real phone number and address is.
Yeah.
So like for those people out there that were just like, "Well, I'm just going to do it anonymously and no one will ever know," and it's like that's like a prison offense. That's,
Oh yeah.
That's really intense.
The one guy that did it to the where the guy ended up dying, he got, I think, 20 years or 10 years or something.
Yeah.
It was years upon years, as
No
you should,
Twitch
because
stream is worth 20
No.
years in prison.
Nope, not at all. So
If you feel bad about gaming, reference our previous podcast where we look at solutions to promote empathy in gaming and
That's
maybe
right.
evaluate what's going on
exactly,
with you.
yeah, because that is not needed anywhere.
Nope.
Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You do not need to call a fake thing in for somebody like that. Again, somebody died.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No bueno.
Not good. And then I guess the last bit of news, DayZ did not get rated in Australia, correct?
Yeah, no, Australia is really big with censorship with their video games and whatnot.
True.
So the fact that you have morphine in game.
Oh, so it wasn't the zombies or the death? Or
No, it wasn't the murdering,
No,
the violence.
It was the morphine.
It was morphine because it's an opiate you can be addicted to, even though you can also be prescribed it in Australia.
Do you use it medicinally in the game, or do you use it like I'm running and I jab it into my arm?
Good
or
question,
is it just
Manny.
like,
Good question. Good question.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I assume something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a man in a bed and he has a morphine drip and they're like, "No, there's morphine in that game. We can't show it." And I was like, "But he needs it for the medical."
Now, this is a
needs.
zombie game. I'm
This
going to
is
go
zombie
with
game.
it.
I'm gonna go with you got shot, you're in pain, you inject yourself
it,
right
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah. Eases the pain for a bit as you're
Yeah.
running away from zombies.
Yeah. So, that's the end of the news. So,
Hey Brian,
Yeah.
I know we're here at this podcast and we're gonna get some queso later, and
Obviously.
I can't wait to fill my belly. But I'm kind of hungry now.
Are you?
Yeah, a little appetizer maybe. I don't know if anyone has anything before we get to the queso.
Queso's an appetizer.
yeah, queso. I mean, Lewis, you're in like the food capital of the world. Can you recommend anything for us?
Nothing really comes to mind. I think I know something, but I mean,
Okay, what is it?
it's something that's It's a little tasty.
Ooh,
you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know. And sometimes I like to just eat it during. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Cool. Yeah,
It's longer and longer.
but it's tasty.
That sounds like a topic to me.
It could be.
What kind of topic
kind of
is
topic?
it?
Ooh, nice little taste it.
Isn't it
topic.
tasty?
Hey, you got
no,
there.
no.
Give it like 4 episodes. The entire episode is just gonna be them leading up to the
Just
tasty
leading
topic.
up.
That took just as long for us to order an appetizer. And for it to come out cold.
I was on board with this, and I'm not anymore.
We got next week. We'll bring it back around.
bring it back.
Bring it back around.
Just make it longer.
So I believe, Troy, this is your week, correct?
Yeah, so the past couple weeks we've been looking at some topics that are pretty heavy, really thinking about online abuse and whatnot. So I wanted us to reminisce on the things that we are here and enjoy so much. I wanted to look at some special gaming moments for us.
All right.
And I originally thought about this as cool moments in video games when I was an adult. Mostly because when I'm a kid, everything was amazing.
Yeah.
Like everything's going to be my favorite moment at that point. So I'm kind of interested in like what makes a special moment in a game special to you. For example, for me, I will remember a game called Two Brothers. And also, this is probably going to have spoilers if people tell these favorite moments. So listen tentatively. There's a game called Two Brothers where you end up going around with your brother the entire time, solving puzzles, jumping, all these things. And you have to work together to do this. And towards the end of the game, for one reason or another, your brother's not there anymore. And you come across a puzzle that you can't solve, and you spend a very, very long time trying to solve that puzzle to only realize that you have to do the things that your brother would have done because you can't do it on your own. And it was surprising to me. And as I looked at the different things that I like in games, Nier, Metal Gear, things like that, I found that for myself, I think surprise is what makes a moment in games meaningful or great for me or exciting or makes it a moment is when I can look and be like, I've never experienced this before.
Yeah.
And this is amazing.
Yeah.
So for me, I think an element that makes that moment is definitely surprise.
I like it.
That comes in.
For me, it goes into more like the way they put it into a game, like the thought process and the coding that it took in order to actually get this specific moment into the game.
How they make the donuts.
Like how they make the donuts. Exactly. Like with No Man's Sky. That's completely procedurally generated.
Right.
And then not only that, but you're flying in and out of planets with no loading screen. And it's just the fact like, oh, they say they can do this, fine. And then as they're playing the game, like, oh, they did it. Like, wow, this is really cool.
It functions.
It functions, yeah. And it's also surprising, but and then like with Outer Wilds, one of my favorite games my game so far this year.
Yeah.
There's this one moment where like you're just walking along the village. And so you're just doing normal things. You're talking to villagers. Hey, what's up? You're just trying to get your launch codes in order to take off. And so you're just walking around saying hi. And then as you go into where you need to go into in order to get the launch code, which is the observatory, there's all these people gather around like this statue. They're like, oh, did you see the new thing this new artifact that we just found? It's pretty cool. It's a statue of our ancestors, which have 3 eyes. So you look at it and you study it. And you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. You can get some information on it. There's a little plaque on the front. Cool. So you go over and get your launch codes, and then you're walking back. And then as you're walking up to the statue, like you turn your camera and then you turn it back and the eyes are open. And it was like, oh, this was unexpected. And then on top of that, you had a code in there. Okay, once the camera's away from it, you have to, open up its eyes and do these types of things. And I was like, oh, that was really cool.
Well done, developer.
Really
well done,
programmer.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's those types of just little moments.
Intricate, detailed, nuanced game design.
Yeah. And then same thing with like Horizon Zero Dawn. Everything that has to do with those robots
is so spectacular.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the detail in it.
The detail that they have into it.
So detail maybe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else have a
I definitely say like emotional resonance is like if I'm in a scene and then something happens that makes me as a person feel something. Like I enjoy like playing like popcorn video games of just like but I think my favorite video games have like a moment or a memory for me. The one that comes to mind first is the first time I played Dragon Age Origins. Is I was romancing Alistair and we got to the scene, and the whole time in the beginning of the game he's like, I don't want to be king, I don't think I'd be good at it, I just want to live my life, I don't want to be that person. And then you got to the end and you get to choose between him and another person to be king, and I didn't choose him because I was like, no, that isn't what you want and I wouldn't do that to you. And in the scene he looks at you and he's like I of anyone I thought that you would believe in me, and I genuinely felt horrible. but it was one of my favorite moments in video games because it was just like that wasn't a person in a screen, that was like a real person in that second. And I don't even get that from movies in the same way because that wasn't a thing. I made that decision.
Exactly.
And now I feel terrible.
Yeah, no matter how many times you watch a movie, it's still going to be the same movie. Whereas with this game, that's an actual decision you made that led up to that, and you disappointed him. Yeah,
and it was so organic to be like, no, I just misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you genuinely meant that, and it was.
It's a human moment.
Yeah. It was great.
Nice,
beautiful,
very nice.
I guess I'll piggyback off that because I pretty much, not just in gaming but in like everything, I'm like a sucker for the cocktail that is like the emotional gut punch where hopefully like good writing has brought you to a point, and it doesn't even necessarily always have to be a surprise. Like sometimes you could see like a train wreck coming and then it happens, but nevertheless it's like
the journey.
But it's like it was better than what I could have even thought. But the thing that I think that's sticking when I think about every one of the moments that come to mind, it's always underscored by like excellent music. I feel like is one of the big deciders, and it could be like a chicken and egg situation. It's like maybe I remember that moment more because of the music has that effect, or that music what's necessary to create that moment kind of thing. Yeah. But it's always some sort of narrative thing followed by the correct musical shift that's necessary.
Like intentional music.
Yeah.
Not just background, like is intended for this very purpose, for this moment,
or
serves that moment.
I don't know why. It just like, I didn't even think about this. It literally just popped into my brain. But considering my dragon the last time I was on from Chrono Cross, there's a scene. It's like one of the saddest scenes like in any video game ever. But it's kind of a bittersweet thing because it turns out all right. But there's a lot of like time and dimensional travel in that game. And spoilers if you haven't played this game. But one of the main girl's kid, you go back in time to where the orphanage that she grew up in, and you basically witness the destruction and everything like that, and her being left alone, and then music hits, and then she's just like, don't leave me alone, and you get to make a choice, and you're like, no, I won't leave you, but it doesn't matter because you have to leave, and then it's like, oh, it all worked, but then it helps you understand the character better. It's like bonus points almost for you getting to think like about like the ramifications of like what just happened. It's like, oh man, now she just lived a whole life without anybody kind of thing, and now I understand her character so much more and whatnot. It's like
beautiful.
They're the best.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So piggybacking off of everything, but then walking in a different direction. Totally agree with all.
I'm gonna piggyback and just hold on to you for a little bit. You're going that way? Nah.
Totally agree with everything everyone said so far. So I came up with something else to say to add to the conversation, which is totally a Katelyn answer you're about to get. I like the feeling of accomplishment you can get with video games, and I think that can help make a good moment. Like, for example, looking at some simple games like Tetris, like it's so simple, you just do the pieces and you clear the lines, but then it slowly starts getting faster and faster, and it gets really hard, and like suddenly it's not so simple anymore. So when you get there, that accomplishment, like when you get to higher levels, it feels great. Or
when you're kind of clicking and just in the zone, and you just hit that, what's that, like the flow? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the Tetris effect.
You get in the zone.
The Tetris effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that. Or Dragon Quest builders, when you're like mining these stupid bricks, but then you end up making some like great stage or house or anything like that. Or Nancy Drew, where it's a very silly video game, but you feel so accomplished when you figure out the bad guy at the end of the story.
Yeah.
So like those little like accomplishment, like little wins you can get from video games. I really enjoy that.
Nice.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it's something of everything, honestly, because there's moments where the emotional thing really hits me, which makes me love the game 10,000 times more. Like, obviously, spoiler alerts for anything that I say. At the end of The Last of Us, when he has a choice to lie to Ellie or to tell her the truth. When she asks what happened, did they have the cure? Was it a thing? And he just straight up lies to her and says no, and then the game just ends. And I was like, everything was building up to that one point, to that one question that she asked, where she just said, "Just tell me the truth, be completely honest with me." And then he just wasn't, and that hit me hard. Or moments like in No Man's Sky, where you're flying. When you first start the game and you finally fly into space, and then this beautiful orchestration just hits you as you see the vastness that you have ahead of you. And it's like, wow. Because before No Man's Sky came out, I was reading up on it for months, because that entire idea of everything just being created as you went into it fascinated the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You know, or moments of accomplishment. Like, I was playing Moonlighter and I was doing this one dungeon that I had done a million times, and then finally I was fighting this boss in one of the dungeons, and just I kept saying out loud, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, you son of a damn it, no, yes, I'm alive. Oh, potion. And then I didn't die. I won, and I put the game down. I was like, oh, that felt so good.
That moment after.
Yeah, it's like, thank you so much. I'm done for the rest of the day. We're all good.
That was really hard to play with one hand.
That was really you know, it's and so it's a kind of a culmination of everything, or the surprise moments where when I was playing The Witcher and they released Blood and Wine, and you're into that new continent, all of a sudden this giant just breaks through a windmill, and it surprised me where I laughed audibly in enjoyment, because it was so fantastic that this was happening, you know?
Yeah.
Or when it was nighttime in that new continent and the entire sky was filled with nothing but stars, and I felt like I'd never seen something so beautiful, and I was like, oh my God, this is wow.
So yeah, there you go. So all we need is for game developers to
do
always
all of those.
make a game that is detailed, filled with surprises, emotionally resonates with us, has beautiful intentional music, makes you feel accomplished, and makes you feel Lewis.
Everybody should feel Lewis.
Everyone
at least
should
once.
feel me. Right?
So you're just talking about Dragon Age and Mass Effect, right?
Well, I like that topic.
Yeah, it was nice, man.
That was tasty.
Positive.
Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah.
And now that brings us to our Dragon of the Week.
It's the Dragon of the Week. Yeah, it's so sleek. It's the Dragon of the Week. It'll make you shriek. Dragon of the Week.
Did you have official lyrics for that at one point? They just abandoned that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
They don't matter
The official
anymore.
lyrics already change every
There are
week.
websites out there with the official lyrics, and now everyone's confused.
I couldn't memorize it.
It's perfectly fine.
I have it written down right here.
I do too. It's
All
fine.
right, cool.
It don't matter. The official lyrics are they change every week.
Yeah, that's the official.
It's a
thing.
little better
official
than the
thing.
No, that's my favorite.
What are you playing?
Oh yeah. So Zach, you have our dragon.
Yeah, man.
I was debating for a while whether I wanted to do this gentleman, because he's not like super famous for games. He's got his hands in like a little bit of everything, but I decided I really wanted to do him because after I listened to an interview with him recently, and he's one of my favorite people, and I realized I had to talk about this guy because and I felt like it was especially good follow up because we've done some topics recently about toxicity in the gaming community and how the culture can be super negative and whatnot. And this dude, I'd say one of the reasons I love him most is he's just one of those guys who uses his celebrity to not for himself, but to promote like positivity and a better community and whatnot. And he is a voiceover artist, and his name is Matthew Mercer.
Yeah.
The Matthew Mercer.
You might know him as McCree. Most likely, that's what everybody will know him for. Though his body of work is gigantic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what were
Troy,
you
when
going to
you-
say, Troy?
Critical Role.
Oh yeah, of course,
I mean,
yes.
yeah.
That's what I was kind of leaning on. I was
is-
like, he's almost more famous for
Yeah.
D&D nowadays, but you know what? That's gaming's like best sibling, so
He's
who
like
cares?
a bona fide. Yeah, he is from another planet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Seeing
no,
him do
he's-
his Critical Role stuff, it's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my novel here as I took
Ooh, that is handwritten.
Blow the
yeah,
dust.
yeah, I'm really bad at taking like notes on my phone and stuff. So.
Hey, you know they can delete on you. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Analog.
So Matt, he's not immediately around here, but he is a Florida native as well, which is interesting to know. He's like for about 8 years of his life, grew up in West Palm before his family uprooted him out to the Wild West, and that's where he didn't really have a choice as to whether or not he wanted to have his career out there. And
It turned out okay for him.
well, I learned a lot about him because if you look him up online, there's not a tremendous amount of information outside of just like his body of work, but he really like opened up a lot in personal interviews and whatnot. And it's pretty interesting to see that he turned out to be a voiceover artist because he grew up with a major speech impediment that his father had to help him deal with because his father also had the same type of speech impediment. And it was one of those situations apparently where your brain can move too fast for your mouth to be able to follow. So he was constantly tripping over it was completely clear in his head, but he was tripping over what he was saying. And he mentioned that even today, when doing voiceover work, he trips up on there's certain like turn of phrases or whatever that trip him up, and he gets like really embarrassed about it because he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be a professional, but speaking's hard. So and it's a thing where if he doesn't mindfully think about what he's saying, he'll just talk like faster than anybody can actually have the ability to hear because that's just the way he's going. And I thought I think it's interesting somehow that a weakness can turn into something that turns into what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Put so much effort into it that it became his profession.
Yeah.
And before talking more about it, one of the reasons why I really love him is that he uses his own experience. He's a major mental health advocate. He's done things for Geek and Sundry, especially like on Mental Health Awareness Day, and really put his personal life out there. And I know that's been hugely beneficial for me, and another reason why I just really admire the guy so much because I feel like his mental health in this country is just like a big joke in how we handle it for the most part. And
it's sad.
he is just a guy who's out there who's saying, hey, you know what? You don't have to be silent about it. It could be looked at two ways. It could be depressing. It's just like, oh, look at how successful he is, and he still struggles. But at the same time, no, it's meant to be encouraging. Everybody's doesn't matter what level of fame or success or talent you have. And so I love him for that. He grew up like a big nerd as us. He was a big tabletop RPG person as a kid because it's probably hard for a lot of young kids to think now because nerd's almost mainstream now, but he still grew up in a time where like he was just like ruthlessly harassed and made to feel pretty worthless for the things that he loved.
That was my time.
Yeah. And he already had like his own personal mental issues, obviously with his like speech impediment. He had like major body dysmorphia issues. He still does and whatnot. So he's been through the gamut, but he was really attracted to tabletop RPGs and like playing characters and doing voices because he felt like it was an exercise in him being able to try out different things that he could maybe take into regular life. Hey, you know what? I did this thing and I really liked being in that skin. Maybe it'll make me feel confident to try be something different in my regular life and whatnot. Early in school, one of his teachers encouraged him to trying out for like theater and trying out for a specific part, which he jokingly said that it must not have gone great because he felt like he got the pity role. But he still, nevertheless, I always find it funny to hear about like different actors and voiceover people that often they're not like the most outgoing people, but it ends up being as a form of therapy for them to actually, well, I don't have to be myself. Like I'm this character now. So my shyness or whatever doesn't matter because I'm not that person anymore. And he kind of used that. He got big into theater and dance and all different kinds of things. And those were the kinds of things that helped him like accept being like quote unquote the outcast and like made his like nerdy side okay because he found like a community that he could connect with early there.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I'm scrolling through my notes here.
That also happens a lot with like drag queens as well, and like furries. They use their other persona or their other character as a way for them to be who they feel like they should be.
Right.
But they themselves can't do it because that's them. But this other person, they can be whoever they
Let it
want.
loose.
Yeah.
Right. And I one of my favorite little anecdotes he shared that encouraged him to maybe be a little more braver in pursuing his talents as like a hustle for money is that he said in high school he was commissioned by both male and female classmates to use his talent for drawing to draw nude pictures of like different nerd characters and whatnot, like straight up like, oh yeah, this girl would say, hey, I for some reason I really want to see Wolverine naked, and you'd be like, okay, $20, sure, you know. So I thought that was a pretty hilarious.
I mean, much.
That's an easy drawing. That's just fur.
So much hair.
Just hair.
Oh yeah. But as far as his actual career and for the things that we talk about, he started a career at a company called SoundSource Interactive. He was a game tester there. And he said that what I've heard from a lot of game testers, that it was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
It is not fun to do. It is awful. But he loved video games so much, and he was just that person who took such pride in what he does that he was going to be the best damn game tester there ever was, and worked up in management and whatnot, but just hated every second of it. Just like clearly, like I should not be like making a choice to do this for the rest of my life. However, he got to do some pretty cool things. He worked for Santa Monica for a minute. He worked on God of War 1 and 2. He was like personally headhunted by Infinity Ward, and he went and worked on Modern Warfare. So he was like getting poached by other companies.
As a playtester?
Yeah.
Wow. You'd be a pretty good playtester.
Yeah.
You're finding all them bugs.
He worked in him working up into management and whatnot, having like more of an actual say so into like things that maybe, you know, he had an eye for certain things, and it spoke for itself.
I think Kratos should be mad. Okay. Yeah, we'll make him angry.
Put another tattoo on his arm.
One more, please.
What if he called his son Boy?
You're fired.
And I think in addition to you know, like I said, like the dance, the theater, and whatnot, you can still see pictures of him online. He was a major cosplayer, and he still does. He still dabbles now, but he was big time into cosplay. And he said that you know, it didn't help that he had like the body dysmorphia and whatnot, but he joked about a time where he ended up like finally committing to exercise because it was cosplay that motivated him to do it. Because he would go to conventions, and he said, especially with the dudes, that it's just like he was like they didn't care. Like it was just like Cloud Strife and like jeans, and he'd be like, "Come on, man, like
do something." Look like Cloud.
So he like was personally motivated. He joked. He said it was my love for Final Fantasy characters that made me decide to start taking care of my body because if I was going to be Sephiroth, I had to be the best Sephiroth that there ever could be. You know, and he. Not really lamented, but he kind of said, you know, he felt like cosplay's in a different place now, because back then it was just him and his friends doing it just to celebrate their love, whereas now it's almost become like a kind of a commercial thing. It can be very competitive. It can be almost mean-spirited at times. And so he's like, it's kind of a bummer because, you know, that's not why we started dressing up in costume and, you know, whatnot. And during all this time while he was working with the QA and whatnot and stuff, he started to dabble a little bit in VO. He was mostly doing like Walla for it, which I didn't know that was a word, and I learned out what that means. Walla is basically just like the background noise, like the city. So if you're Spider-Man swinging through a city and you hear people talking, maybe he'd get a line where it's like, "Hey, Spider-Man, like, what are you doing?" Like, like he did that kind of voiceover work, you know. And he realized he kind of liked it, and being as he hated his job so much, he was just like, well, you know what if I kind of like stopped at the cosplay, because that's expensive. I'll quit my job, take all my savings, downsize my life, and I'll give this an honest try. Like, I'm just going to do voiceover, and hopefully this goes somewhere. He also, while he was doing the voiceover work, he started to explore, like, in that, like, almost the advent of YouTube, which this was very interesting to me because I've seen this and I didn't know he was involved, but in a bunch of different internet shorts. And the most famous one was There Will Be Brawl, which is very inspired by Super Smash Brothers, which I don't know. I thought it was like a bigger thing than it is, but when I asked people, "Did you ever see that?" It kind of reminds me of like the 3000 Brigade, because it's a lot of like adult-oriented Nintendo, but that's what the whole show was about. It was just like, yeah, like, what if it was like really dark and seedy, and like the mushrooms that Mario and Luigi take, they're like actually drugs, and like Mario's got like a drug problem and whatnot, and like Samus Aran's like a stripper, but she has like a heart of gold and she's helping out Luigi, and like it's like really dark and messy. It's interesting to watch.
I'll be looking at that tonight.
Yeah. He directed, edited, and produced that, and that was how they eventually got picked up by Escapists to help them fund the rest of it. But for the most part, they were doing it out of pocket, and that's how he started to meet a lot of his other voice actor friends, and also the first time he met his wife was getting involved with that, which wouldn't be his wife for some time afterward. But
right. But that's cool. He had like a body of work to be like, this is my voice.
Yeah.
Right. And at that point in his career, like, list of games that he had worked on, whether it was just like background voices or extra voices, sometimes even lead roles, was like Ace Combat 5, World of Warcraft, Street Fighter, Star Ocean, Call of Duty, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, No More Heroes, 99 Nights, Diablo 3, Kingdoms of Amalur, Tales of Xillia, Fire Emblem. He was Crom, Guild Wars 2, and there's not enough paper to write how many voices that he's done.
You got me in my feels with Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah.
Got me in my feels.
Yeah. I love that game. And then his career started to take off more whenever he met a gentleman named Liam O'Brien, who was very heavily involved in anime voice acting. So then he started to get more work outside of video games. Liam O'Brien is most notably, at least I recognize to me, he was Gaara in Naruto. And he got Matt a bunch more roles. So then Matt would be in things like FMA, Sacred Star of Milos. He was in Naruto Shippuden. He was Levi in Attack on Titan.
Was he doing this all out of LA?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was Law in One Piece and a bunch of others. So he started to, and I'm like, oh, well, it's anime, but you know what? We all like this stuff. So it's that kind of podcast.
They've all had games.
Yeah. And then the most recent part of his career is Troy alluded to in his meeting with Liam and, you know, kind of paying him back for the help that he did. He said, well, I run tabletop games a lot. If you guys are really interested in running one for your birthday, I'll run one. And he hit him up, and they ended up starting this campaign of Pathfinder, where Liam introduced him to all of his friends, which is basically the group that is Critical Role. Nice. And Matt was actually the outsider. He's like, I don't know any of these people. I'm really insecure and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, like
I would have thought it was all him all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he seemed to be the outsider. Like, he had loose connections. Like, he met Taliesin, Jaffe, and he met Marisha at some point, whatnot. They had a connection there, but everybody else that was involved, he's like, I don't know these people. And I'm kind of the new guy. You know, these guys are superstars in anime and whatnot. So they did that, and then they were eventually approached by Geek and Sundry to say, hey, what if you guys, like, we made it into a show where you guys just played a game on screen? And they were like, I don't know about that, man.
Who would want to watch that?
Yeah, who would want to watch that? And
literally
this is
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Podcasts, video. It's a phenomenon.
But it was even more concerning for them, because he was like, I feel like we have something special here where we're like, we creatively express ourselves in a closed environment where we're friends and whatnot. And there was no money when they started doing it. It was just like, we're just going to throw cameras on you and see what happens. So it was like, we could screw something up that's really important to us for an internet show that might not have any return on it. So it might not work out. Needless to say, 4 years later, they're in their second campaign, and it's like one of the biggest things on the planet, and has like not revived D&D, but has like surged the interest, and I think is single-handedly responsible for surging interest in D&D for players like all over the place.
I hear people coming up to us to ask about D&D, or that they're going to play D&D so much more in the last few years than I had my entire life.
I think it was also kind of kismet, because the Stranger Things was along the same time.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
So I think each one of them definitely helped out the other one, because I think people who were like, oh, I kind of want to get into D&D because of Stranger Things, and then, oh, what's this Critical Role? Boom.
And then Joe, what's his face? Joe Magniello's been like out.
Other people since
being like an evangelical about it.
Is it The Rock?
No, Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel.
I didn't get them confused.
On the Chronicles of Riddick, him and Judi Dench were playing D&D on set.
I can't. No, my brain can't. Nope. We got to end this. My brain can't. Nope.
It's the best. And I can only imagine Carl Urban was also playing, because he was in that movie.
But yeah, I think DMing ends up being like a natural fit for him, just based off when you look at his body of work. He doesn't necessarily play the lead role. He's just such a talented like character actor. You know, I even say, like, I love Nolan North, for example, but when I hear Nolan North do a role, I'm like, that's Nolan North.
Yeah.
But when Matt does some voices, like especially if you've watched Critical Role, I'm like, if I close my eyes, I'm like, I don't know how that voice is coming out of him. Like, he is absurdly talented with just like, even if it's just a background character, you know, he's got like when you compare it to his DMing, it's like, oh, he must like this character has a personality and everything and whatnot.
It's just so genius to have a voice actor as a dungeon master when you're in
Yeah.
charge of playing 1 million plus characters. That's brilliant.
Thank you for making dungeon mastering harder for the rest of us.
Yes.
Why isn't my DM like Matt Mercer? This is dumb.
It's funny. He's actually talked about that. And he said he feels really horrible about that. But it's just like, you know what? It's on the people, man. Like he should inspire you to make your D&D campaign better, not like, oh, it's not Matt, so it's dumb.
Yeah,
So.
you know, I can't throw a football like Drew Bledsoe. I'm not going to be able to throw a football ever again. Nah, just throw a football, man. See what you got.
But one of the quotes that he had that at the end of the interview, I feel like sums up why I love him so much and why I think he's so important to the community is he doesn't even look at the Critical Role as like personal success. He actually focuses more on the community, like the millions of people that have come around it. And, you know, he was like choking in tears, almost saying like, you know what, if I had this community, I would have had a much happier childhood. And I'm so grateful that it's not just the nerds. It's people that are okay, they're dealing with other things like their sexuality or stuff like that. You know, this is a community. It's like, hey, the nerd community, that's what it was supposed to be. You know, it's supposed to be a place for everybody, especially tabletop games, where it's just like, it doesn't matter who the person is sitting at the table. You know, they're playing a character and we're having fun and whatnot. And then the interviewer said to him, he was like, and I thought it was a good quote to describe him. He says, you so seasoned your characters in your game that make them diverse or unique, but you're not doing it for political reasons or gain. You're doing it so that the person out there listening feels like you did and still do, and that they don't have to feel alone. And I love that. I feel like that embodies who he is, and that's why I love the guy so much. Not just because he can say a really cool voice saying it's high noon, but but yeah, he's just everything he's done for, you know, what we were talking about. What can we do to make the community better and whatnot? It's like he uses his fame not for himself, but to advocate treating each other better, you know, respecting each other's mental health and whatnot. He's just an awesome human being, so that's why I chose him this week.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good Dragon.
Yeah.
That was
I looked up his date of birth. He's only born a year before me. So yeah. That time sucked for us.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to figure out a way to clap, because I feel like every time we finish the Dragon of the Week, I want to like do something positive, and I was like, I can't. No, I don't want to clap.
That's what the
Whatever.
Dragon of
Let's
the
do
Week is. It's positive.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Do you
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
to
snaps.
go?
Snaps.
Ooh, like
tasty dragon, man. Sweet dragon.
okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, I didn't miss that.
I
You
said
didn't say
dragon.
it. You didn't say it.
Yeah.
What are
He's
you
good.
talking about?
He's good.
Thanks, Zach. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Thank you. That was a good Dragon of the Week. Well, unfortunately, because that's over, so is this episode.
Aw.
Look at that segue.
Wow. But as always, we record live upstairs inside of Tate's Comics, powered by our friends, the 3000 Brigade. Yeah. We're like the Critical Role, but better.
You said it, so it's got to be
I said
factual.
it. It's got to be factual.
That's a statement.
He did say that.
I did say that. As always, you can find us online on the Instagrams and Facebooks. What was this week's...
Actually, something interesting happened on Instagram this week. The conversation continued. A friend, AJ, actually started talking more about what we talked about last week about online solutions to abusive gaming.
Okay.
And Ethan showed his own example of what happened in Sea of Thieves and what his thoughts about it. So I would encourage you all, and I've never said this before, but I mean it now, be more like AJ.
Oh,
and
man.
go ahead and continue the conversation online with us so we can continue creating more content.
That's right.
Yeah.
Famous
Monkey.
last words.
Famous last words.
With AJ, it is.
So thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then, as always, my name is Brian.
My name is Lewis.
My name is Troy.
Amanda.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Katelyn.
Thanks
And
again.
we're Queso.
Yeah. We are so out of here.
Brian, ladies and gentlemen.
Boom. Have a great week, everyone. That was your Tasty Dragon.